we go. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We are continuing on the topic of pre-qualification. What's pre-qualification? It is, of course, putting ourselves in a position where we could take more listings by just simply preparing ourselves when we go on these listing presentations. We are going to be talking a little bit about the pre-qualification of a buyer, but that's not going to be today. That's not going to be this week. We are predominantly talking about pre-qualifying sellers, taking more listings, and putting ourselves in a winning position. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my notes. I'm going to refer back to some of the things that we were talking about yesterday, and we're going to continue to, of course, move on. But those of you that are joining us over on YouTube, Instagram, and of course, as usual, Facebook, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for being here with us. I'm going to encourage you to come join us over on Zoom, as I'm going to be sharing the script today. I'm going to be breaking down the script. What does it consist of? What's the purpose of the script? What does a pre-qual script look like? We're going to go through all of those things in a lot more detail. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and type them in. I do have my staff looking at all the different platforms, and go ahead and type them in. If not, you're welcome to, of course, those of you that are here on Zoom, to vocalize them. So let's go ahead and move on. We are talking about pre-qualification, pre-qualifying sellers. And in the pre-qualifying sellers, I want us to remember the fact that when we are pre-qualifying, okay, when we're going through the entire process of pre-qualification, what's the primary purpose? Okay, so we're going to break that down as well. But when we pre-qualify, we have to understand, we want to understand that 95% of our competition isn't doing it. 95. Okay, so if there's 100 realtors, maybe there's 5 realtors that are actually do some version of pre-qualification. Okay, why are the 95 others not doing it? Well, I'm going to share with you why. The reason why they're not doing it is because there's a good percentage, unfortunately, of agents that don't do a lot of listings. And when they do a listing, it's been 2 weeks, 2 months, or heck, even for that matter, 2 years since the last listing appointment they had. The last thing they want to do is go through a series of questions and find out that those sellers are actually not motivated. So the last thing we want to do is put ourselves in a position where we're asking those questions and then come to find out that those sellers are not motivated. They just want to refinance. They just want to do anything and other things separate from selling their home. So instead, we think, well, I'll exclude myself from that, but 95 of the 100 realtors that I'm referring to, they think that simply by going out there, having a conversation, somehow, some way, they're going to convince this person to go ahead and list their home. Well, of the 5 out of the hundreds, again, remember 95% of your competition is not doing this. Of the 5 out of the hundreds, there's probably 2, 3, or even 4 of those 5 that are not even doing a good job of pre-qualifying. They might ask 2, 3, 4, or 5 of the questions, but they don't go through the thoroughness of this. Okay, Lizette mentioned yesterday, perfect example. When we go to a doctor, they go through and pre-qualify. They go through and you go to a doctor. They're asking you to come in, new patient, fill out the new patient form. Let's get your insurance information. Oh, you don't have insurance? Okay, well, let's go ahead and take payments before we put you, on the table where the doctor's going to speak to you. Okay, so let's go ahead and make sure we run your card. Oh, your card isn't working. Okay, got it. Well, we do have some financing options. Let's go ahead and get you to sign all of this paperwork before you even speak to a doctor. They're not going to put you on that table until you've actually had some form of payment that has been processed. And even then, when you actually sit on the table, what do? We don't automatically see a doctor. The doctor's going through, seeing all the other patients, has the nurse come in, has somebody else that's actually coming in. Okay? And as far as that is concerned, they're going through some version of pre-qualification, whether it's the nurse going through, taking your vitals, going through all of that stuff. Okay. Shelly's mentioning that the volume is low. Is there anybody else that's having a little bit of a challenge with the volume? Or are we good?
No.
We're good?
No,
okay.
you're pretty good. You're
good.
loud.
All right, thank you.
Loud and clear.
Awesome,
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I just want to make sure we are not having that technical difficulty. All right, so continuing on. Again, same exact situation. You're going to the doctor. And as you're going to the doctor, there's the nurse. There's basically the assistant. They're going through and they are taking your vitals. And then finally, after an hour and a half, even though you had a 3 o'clock appointment and you got there at 2:30, the doctor isn't seeing you or speaking to you until 4 o'clock. And then the doctor spends about 5 minutes, and in those 5 minutes asks a question, another question, another question. Okay, and that's basically that doctor's version of pre-qualification. Okay. When we go out and speak to sellers, as I mentioned, there's two primary factors why we pre-qualify these sellers. Number one is to identify any potential objections. This is what we're going to extract by pre-qualifying. What are some potential objections? We're wanting to just refinance. We're just simply wanting to know the value of our home. We are considering on hiring an agent, but we do have a second, a third, or even a fifth option. When we do hire an agent, we're only willing or wanting to pay no more than a total 4%, 5%, 6% commission. When we do hire a realtor, we don't want to sign a contract more than 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, anything from that direction. When we have that information in advance, we can use it and we can start to weave it into our presentation. Those that are successful, every single agent that I've had the good fortune of making millionaires as realtors, they understand this part. Okay, and what I mean by that is they don't just go on these appointments and just simply do the song and dance. They need to know the information in advance, which again, number one is going to be to identify any potential objections. Because in that, when we do have those potential objections, okay, we can go ahead and address them. We can go ahead and basically take care of those objections and even weave them into the presentation. All right, so what does that look like? So as an example, we're going up against competition. We're going against other realtors. We are competing with, okay, we're competing with other realtors. What's it called? We have a second, a third, or even a fourth realtor that we are competing with. When we know that information in advance, we can go through our presentation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of three things will happen. Number one, you'll have the opportunity to list your home with me. Number two, you may decide not to list your home with me. Number three, I may decide not to take your listing. And any one of those is perfectly fine. Now let's quickly take a moment to review the questions we asked you over the phone, that was asked of you over the phone. Okay, now before I go into the depthness of this, what I want to make sure is you and I are on the exact same page, that if you give me the opportunity to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth, would you be okay with it? Why would you not tell us the truth? Well, the only reason I'm saying that is because I know that a lot of times, unfortunately, realtors, with what they'll do is they'll have a tendency to tell you with what it is that you want to hear versus what you need to hear. And that's a common practice, unfortunately, in our industry. So when other realtors are doing that, they're doing it simply to secure a listing. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I don't do that. I want to make sure that I give you the information that is going to cause your home to sell, because I don't want just simply another listing. I want to make sure that I get your property sold so that we can go ahead and get you over to Florida, as you mentioned, so you could be with your mother-in-law, so you can get your boat, and so that we can get you fishing, and then that way you can go ahead and get me a sample of some of those tacos that you were talking about. And then we go into the series of pre-qualification. So I literally weave in a sense, part of the potential objection. Number two, their motivation. Those are the two primary reasons. Now, if I were to put a percentage, I'd probably put the weight 80% on motivation, 20% on the objections. Okay. Why? Because objections are more facts and figures, and I don't want to present from facts and figures. My mentor, Mike Ferry, who I had the great fortune of being with for the last quarter century, for 25 years, one thing he talks about is what's it called? Logic. Logic, facts, figures, all this other stuff makes people think. Emotion makes people act. So when we're getting the two primary reasons for pre-qualifying, we're getting the objections, and in the objections, that gives us the opportunity to speak more logically. Days on market, average price point, average commission, what we're going to do to sell the home. This is what makes our company amazing. That doesn't help them. It gives them information to further think. We don't need them to think more. We need them to act more, which is the emotion. And the emotion is always going to come from their motivation. Why they're wanting to do this. As the old saying, you got to know their why. And when I get a coaching client here, share with me what are some positive things that happened this week. Hey, I set a listing appointment. Great, good job. Now, what's their motivation? Well, they want to get a bigger home. Okay, did they tell you that, or is that what you said? Well, no, they told me they wanted to get a bigger home. Okay, do they want more home? Do they want more lot square footage? Are they looking for more bedrooms? Well, I'm not really quite sure. Well, did you not ask them? Well, they just said they wanted a bigger home, so I just assumed more square footage. Okay, well, when they get this more square footage, how is this going to impact you and your family? Oh, I don't know that question, or I don't know the answer to that question. Okay, well, who's most excited about making the move? Is it the husband or the wife? Oh, I don't know. I didn't even ask him that question. Well, we need to do a better job of gathering information, and the information that I want you to gather is always going to be from an emotional standpoint, because the emotional standpoint is what is going to move them. It's going to be pushing their buttons. Okay, because in the end, it's very common. 9 out of 10 presentations, we're going to be getting the usual, let me think about it, I'll get back to you, let me digest it, let me look over the information, thank you for coming by, so on and so forth. It gives us now the ammunition to be able to sit there and come back, if they don't sign the contract, to be able to bring those triggers up. You mentioned to me, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that this was the reason you were wanting to make the move. You were also mentioning to me that you were more motivated, and you were looking for the following as to the benefits of making this move. And you also mentioned to me, as far as your kids is concerned in the school district, so on and so forth, we can use that to push them forward, move them forward. Okay. Let me go ahead and open it up, see if there's any questions, any comments, any concerns, any insights, anything of anything. All right. Let's continue on. So I'm going to go ahead and share the script here in just a minute. I'm going to go over one more point. Okay. Today is expire day. So I just want to remind you guys. Okay. So right now, as soon as we're done, you're going to want to go out there. We talked about this last week. Go out there. And if you're calling expires, you got to get ready to go and pick up the phone and call these people as quickly as you possibly can. When you set an appointment, instantly, as soon as you're done, perfect. I'll see you today at 5 o'clock. Before I meet with you, though, I want to go through a series of questions I want to ask you, and this is the pre-qual. So remember, with expireds, you're going to pre-qualify them right then and there. Right then and there. Everybody else, we're going to go ahead and give them a 48 to 24-hour window prior to meeting with them. That's when we pre-qualify them. Okay. All right, so moving on. Now, what we want to do is we also want to look for people that have to sell. Okay. Now, that's great when we find them. Okay, but there's going to be a difference between the have tos and the want tos. Okay, the have tos and the want tos. What are have tos? Well, the have tos are going to be basically bigger home. They're going to be a smaller home, divorce, financial issues, relocation, a growing family. The kids are gone now. All of these things are have to reasons. Okay, have to reasons. Want tos are, well, we've always wanted a pool. We've always wanted a bigger family room. We've always wanted a bigger kitchen. Okay. The want tos, not that you're going to dismiss them, but what we're looking for and identifying, and again, we're going to identify that from our pre-qualification, is their need and their desire. And that need and their desire, understanding their motivation. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share the script now. If anybody has any questions, feel free to go ahead and jump in. You can type them in, whether you are joining us on Instagram, YouTube, of course, over on Facebook. You're welcome to go ahead and type those in. And of course, those of you that are here on Zoom, you guys are welcome to go ahead and ask them here on Zoom. Okay. So Lizette's adding the 4 Ds, absolutely. Divorce, diamonds, diapers, death. I don't know if there's another D in there, but yeah. Okay, those are some have-tos type of situations. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, so here is the script again for those of you that are over on Instagram and over on YouTube. You're going to have to come join us so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. All right, so here we go. All right, so as you can see, I'm going to go through, I'm going to break it down just a little bit. The first thing is, before I come out, I have a number of questions I want to ask you. Is that okay? Whenever we're with an expired, we want to just simply jump right in. We don't want to ask them their permission. Okay. We set the appointment. We basically say, perfect. I look forward to seeing you guys today at 5 o'clock. Before I come out though, there's just a couple of questions I wanted to ask you to make sure we are on the same page. The first question I have for you is if what I say makes sense. And I want to make sure you guys feel comfortable and absolutely confident that I can sell your home. Are you planning to list your home with me when I come out today at 5 o'clock? When they say yes, perfect, go ahead and move on. When they say no, or we'll think about it, or we haven't made that decision, my follow-up question is always going to be, well, I have at least a 1% chance of earning your business. Anything other than a yes, I'm going to ask them, will I at least have a 1% chance to earn your business? If they say no at this point in time, I will ask a follow-up question to that, and I will say, with all due respect, okay, I must ask, if you're not looking to hire an agent, what would be the benefit of me coming out? What is it that you're seeking and or wanting? Okay. And sometimes they're a little bit hesitant. Now, if they say no, 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 do we go out? Well, I'm going to leave that up to you. Okay, I'm not going to tell you yes. I'm not going to tell you no. I will tell you this though. As I spoke to one of my coaching clients yesterday, he said, "Hey, well, this listing is about 45 minutes away. His average price point is about 800,000, and he said the listing is only about 300,000." And I said, "Well, that's probably the one that I'm not going to want you to go to." Now, there was another one the week prior were almost the exact same thing, but the difference was there was almost an extra zero. I think the property was trying to list for 2.3. He felt that the property was worth 1.9, and I said, is it worth or not worth it? And I said, well, that's going to be a calculated risk, and that's going to be up to you. The fact that it's only 15 minutes, I would go out there, do anything and everything in my power, because sometimes they will resonate with what it is that we're saying. So 45 minutes for a $300,000, I'm not quite as motivated. Or 15 minutes away for a 2.3 or a $2 million listing might be a little bit different, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. Now, the next question is, are you planning to interview more than one agent for the job of selling your home? How many of you have a hard time with this question? Other than 90% of you, right? And the reason I say that is because, coach, I don't want to ask them that question because then that's going to allude to potentially them interviewing another realtor. No, we're not that powerful. We're not that great. There's nothing we're going to say and or do where they say, well, now that you bring it up, yes, I am. Okay. But we need to have the answer to that question. Are you planning to interview more than one agent for the job of selling your home? And if they say no, perfect, move on. If they say yes, good. I'm glad to be working with a smart seller like yourself that is looking at multiple options and is looking to be thorough in the process. Now, I am curious, how many realtors are you looking to interview before you make a decision? So you got 5. Got it. Okay, so I'm one of the 5. Perfect. And as far as the other 4 are concerned, have you already interviewed the other 4? You've interviewed 1. So you have 3 more to go after we speak. Good. Now I must ask, after those 5, are you planning to interview any others? No? Great. So now I know, and it doesn't always have to line up in a sense that way, because sometimes they'll sit there and say no, and then they end up interviewing 12 people. But at least I kind of have the direction of where they're going mindset-wise. Because if they say no, they're not interviewing any other realtors, I'm just going in there and I need to be prepared. Now, on number 2, if they sit there and say yes, we are looking to interview another realtor, then at that point in time, I want to know how many realtors? Who am I competing with? I'm going to further ask questions. Again, as I mentioned, after 5 realtors, are you planning to make a decision at that point? Yes, we will be making a decision. Share with me what kind of characteristics or what is it that you're looking for in your realtor. Now I'm going to gather data. Well, we're looking for somebody who's going to be great in communication. We're looking for somebody who's going to do a lot of open houses and someone who has a track record. Great. Now, if these things are, that's okay. You're going to suggestively give them other items that makes you who you are. Now, is social media presence important for you? As you know, social media has become a big thing. If it isn't you, don't tell them that. But if it is you, ask them that. Okay. Having a plan of action. Whatever it is. My point is asking additional questions. Now, once I go through the thoroughness, and again, you see, we're barely at question number 2. we want to be able to ask additional questions. Now, Shelly's asking the question of why not just write the follow-up questions on the script? Because we don't know every situation is going to be different. When we're speaking to an investor, it's a different conversation than when I'm speaking to the single mom of 3 kids. Or I'm speaking to the couple that is getting retired or about to retire. And they're empty nesters and their kids have been gone for the last 10, 15 years. All 3 of those are going to be completely different types of scenarios. So if I just plug and play all of these, okay, which I did have one coaching client that literally turned this entire thing, okay, into basically, actually, it's funny you say that. Yes, a person could do a flow chart with different pathways. This is exactly what she did. It is super duper confusing, and you're more than welcome to. I don't want to practice that because every single situation is going to be different. You want to be able to have your additional questions at the ready. Okay, so we're on the same page. I want to make sure we're on the same page. I don't want to go too far in terms of a tangent. We're asking all of the questions that are on the prequal. Now, as far as within that prequal, subject to the answers we're getting, will determine the next series of questions. My recommendation is having those questions always at the ready. Okay, having them separately. Because again, speaking to an investor, what's the benefit of making this move? Well, there is no benefit. Okay, how is it going to impact you and your family? Well, it isn't. It's basically my company's what's it called, profitability. Great. Who's most excited about making this move? Well, nobody's moving anywhere. Oh, okay. But if I ask those same exact questions to a younger family that's getting their family started, a married couple has 2 kids and about to have their 3rd one, it's going to resonate completely different. Okay, so in that, it is important to understand all of the different situations, having some of those questions at the ready. Now, in the 3rd question, tell me again, where is it that you're moving to? If you know the answer to this question, just re-ask the question. Now, I know you mentioned to me that your goal is to move to LA. However, what part of LA are you looking to make a move to? Even if it's a small town, okay? Where I'm at now, the city of Visalia, it's a pretty small town, but it is a little bit, somewhat larger. It has 150 plus thousand people that live here. So it's a small town, but it's not a small town, okay? And if I go through and ask somebody, oh, you're looking to make a move in Visalia, well, what part of Visalia you're looking to make a move to? We can still ask those questions. In this, between question number 3 and question number 4, again, you guys should come join us over on Zoom. I'm sharing the script. Between question number 3 and question number 4, I'm going to park there for just a smidge. Tell me again, where is it that you're looking to make a move to? I'm looking to make a move to here in Visalia. Great. What part of Visalia is it that you're wanting to make a move to? What's the benefit of making this move to this part of town? Oh, the kids' schools. Awesome. Great. How many children do you have? You have 3. What are the ages of the kids? You have one that's 2, you got a 4-year-old, and you got a 9-year-old. Okay, good. So you got some grade school kids. So is schooling important for you? It is. Okay, so this part of town, is there a specific school that you're wanting to be close to? No, not necessarily. Okay, great. Now, who in your family is most excited about making this move over to wherever this is? Okay. Now, going back to with what you were mentioning, Shelly, you can, in theory, create a flow chart, but you're going to have 30, 40, 50 questions between question number 3 and question number 4. Because again, there are so many variables that are in this. Okay, but if you want to, be my guest. Now, moving on, when I go through the series of questions, and again, most of those questions are going to be about motivation, I'm going to ask them as far as time frame is concerned. How soon do you want to be there? Well, we're not really in a rush. Okay, cool, awesome, that's great. If we were to sell your home in the next 30 days, would that be a pro or would that be a con? Well, we can't sell too soon because we did talk to our accountant, and our CPA basically said that if we sell this year, we're going to incur a hefty, tax basis. But we're trying to gather the information so that we can time it up and close by the beginning of the year. We want to spend our holidays here. Okay. So that's the one thing that I would encourage you to is having, again, those questions at the ready. Now, as far as time frame is concerned, they might tell you, yeah, we definitely want to get it sold. We want to get over to wherever prior to the next year. Now, moving on to the next series of questions. Okay, we got about 5 minutes left. If you guys have any questions, feel free. Okay. All right, so Lizette's basically mentioning back to Q2, do you ever ask which agents they are interviewing? Question number 2. Yes, absolutely. So in question number 2, are you planning to interview more than one agent for the job of selling your home? Yes, we are. Perfect. How many agents are you looking to interview? Well, we're looking to interview at least 2 others. Have you already spoken to them? No, you haven't. Okay, great. So it's basically myself, 2 others, so a total of 3. Once you've interviewed these 3, do you feel as if you're going to need to interview any others, or are you going to be prepared to make a decision? No, I think we're fine with the 3. Okay, perfect. Now, as far as the other 3 is, or the other 2 is concerned, what characteristics are you looking for in your realtor? This, and this? Okay, great. Awesome. Perfect. By the way, who am I competing with? Bob Smith and Nora Jones? Okay, great. Yeah, those are definitely some great options. Now, if I were to bring our track record to be able to compare, would that be helpful for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Okay. Now, Lizette's further asking, I find myself comparing when I learn who it is and I find ways to differentiate. Would you recommend asking the question, or it doesn't matter? No, it does matter, because ultimately there's going to be a big difference as far as, especially for the newer agents. If you have no experience, this is your first listing, or you've had 5 listings in 5 years, or you don't do a lot of listings, you do more buyers than sellers. How do I compete against Robert? Well, there are ways. So if you do have, as an example, you have an agent that is in this type of category, or just even a decent agent, somebody who's doing 10, 15, 20 deals a year, and then you're going up against these conglomerate of teams of realtors that are doing 100, 150, 200 deals a year. Well, you can ask them, what is it that you're looking for? Okay. How are we going to differentiate ourselves, though, is the question. Now, when I started early on, a larger percentage of my business was actually buyers. It just kind of naturally became that way. But it didn't take long for me to go into the selling side of things, but I didn't have a resume. So what I would tell them, in this case, Lizette, is I would just simply say, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, are you looking to just simply be another line item on Nora Jones' sales board? I mean, after all, last month, yes, I understand. Last month, she did take 20 listings. I completely understand. Now, do you want to be one of 20, or would you rather have an agent like myself who is absolutely eager and willing to do whatever it takes to get your listing sold and be 100% of my inventory? I promise you're going to get as much, if not more, attention on your listing, because I have to do everything in my power to get your home sold. And this was actually kind of common for me when I would start to break into the higher threshold. You know, all you've ever sold is $200,000 and $300,000 homes. Have you ever sold a $500,000 home? No, but there's nobody that's going to work harder than I am. What about $1 million home? Oh goodness, yeah. I've never sold $1 million home, but trust me, there's nobody that's hungrier or more eager than I am to break into this. So it doesn't matter whether it's 500, 1 million, 2 million, 10 million. It doesn't matter. But yes, having that information is, of course, helpful. Now, moving on. When I see you, how much you want to list your home for, the reason we're asking this question is because we want to get a feel for with where they're at mentally. Because if their home is worth 500,000 and they tell you that they want 700,000, well, guess what? One of your first objections is very likely going to be. Okay. So that's the reason we ask that question. And of course, there is a follow-up. As a professional real estate agent, I study homes and prices. Therefore, I'm assuming you're going to list with me at a price that will cause it to sell, correct? Yeah, but I don't want to give it away. Well, good. We're on the same page because I don't give homes away. But I am curious, though, what's a number that you feel that would be giving it away? Understood. So anything that starts with a 5. So if we were to get an offer for you in the 600s, you would be open to the idea. Understood. Okay, good. So now I can determine whether or not it's worth my time to go out there. Okay. Let's take a look. So Shelly's asking, is a social media presence, hands-on patience, and expertise with active adults and seniors who are downsizing from a 2 to a 1-story using Prop 19 of interest to you? Well, that's a great question. So again, that's the reason why having some of those additional questions at the ready is always going to be important. If you are asking in regards to social media presence and you don't have any, well, that might not necessarily be the question you're going to want to ask. Or you're speaking to a couple that's in their 70s and or 80s. Well, I don't know if that's going to be of much value. It might, but again, that's going to be up to each individual. And that's, again, the reason why we ask their characteristics. All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue to break this down. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and let me see. Shelly has one more question. I would say that already knowing the question. To a certain extent, because we don't always know this. Again, we're talking to random strangers, and we don't know. The last thing I ever want any of the agents to do is ask or be assumptive, from any perspective. So if they don't tell us anything, and I can't really tell whether the person's 35 or 55, I don't know if any of those things are going to be of much, in a sense, value. But my point earlier, as far as what they're looking for in a realtor, if they sit there and say, I want this characteristic, and this characteristic, and none of them align with who you are, well, maybe you can throw in whatever you're about. Okay, so we're going to continue to break this down. So we're going to go ahead and see each other again tomorrow. Please make sure you guys tune in again. So thank you guys for being here, participating. Go call those expireds. Okay, go set some appointments. We'll talk in more detail tomorrow. I always appreciate you guys. Again, on Thursday, if you guys are in Lancaster, Palmdale area, I'm going to be speaking at an office there in the area. Send me a DM and I'll go ahead and get you the information. I'll also be doing a second speaking engagement in the afternoon, again, at 2 o'clock. Again, this is going to be tomorrow. This is going to be North Hills, basically Sherman Oaks, all of that area, doing that at 2 o'clock. If you want more information, you want to come join me, feel free. Send me a DM and we'll get you all the information. Let's have a powerful, productive day. Go set some appointments. Go take a listing or 5. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. All right, guys, I'll see you guys later. If you guys want more information in regards to where I'm going to be at. So again, tomorrow at 10 a.m., I'm going to be in Lancaster. I'm going to be doing a training there, and then I'll be doing an afternoon one over in North Hills, basically Sherman Oaks area. All right, everybody, I'll see you guys soon. And yep, see you guys in the morning.